Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for your mayor to bring the RCMP into Abbotsford. Today I stand in front of the M.L.A Kory Neufeid of the BC Conservatives. And I gotta ask him when he's gonna cross over and join the NDP. Kory Neufeid is in a lot of trouble. And as your mayor, I'm going to put a stop to the councillors and the mayor that are using each other for votes. Kory Neufeid has aligned himself with the Abbotsford mayor and council and not doing his M.L.A.'s job. In order for when his term's up, he needs protection to get re-elected. I want to show you something and I'm going to speak about it. This is Amrik 25-year lawyer of Abbotsford. Amrik was never a city council. He never ran for city council. He's on the Abbotsford Police Board, and he's on Archway that took the money off the farmers that has treason. He figures he can fool Abbotsford because Dave Sidhu's washed up, and Kory Neufeid went to his party to promote him for city council over all the other cities. Amrik is not allowed to go out and print election signs unfairly. When you run for mayor or council or M.L.A.s, when the writ drops, you got to financially close everything that's going to contribute to your election. Some people in the city said Amrik has printed $20,000 worth of signs already behind everybody's back. And he went and posted them signs out through on his property, and he's standing in front of him, elect Amrik, when we know he didn't do it. And everybody said, Mr. Pelican, you went at Dave Sidhu when he was cheating with his electric signs in Aldergrove and everywhere. And Dave went and had them, but he wasn't allowed to post them yet, but you're allowed to make them. But Amrik went and made them. Amrik also, under that unfairness of the election rules, which is a criminal rule too by law, is with Colin Watts. And Colin Watts laughing and giggling, thinking this guy's got experience. Usually the police don't like lawyers and lawyers don't like police, and the criminal is always left in the middle to get proper justice. And so now Amrik went and did this, and he did it unfairly against all the councils running. What are I doing at Kory Neufeid? Kory Neufeid has caused Caroline Finlay a lot of problems. First of all, endorsing Liberals. First of all, now at Amrik party, behind all the councillors back that got to work. Suki Dami, NDP person here, I believe, very strong hitter. We'll see that that was unfair by Kory, and it was unfair by Amrik and the election signs, Suki Dami. Well, you got to bring it to their attention, you know. The cops see you gathering, they just figure, oh, they're praying. But when you go tell the cops, no, they're sharing crack pipes with minors, then the cops get that to their attention. So you got to bring this to political people's attention, to Caroline Finlay, and to councils that are running. This man is doing the same thing, breaking the law. And he went to Amrik party with Mike Dion, Simon Gibson, and Mark Warkentine, another lawyer. And they're not allowed to be there because of a conflict of interest. They're elected councils to run Amrik fearlessly over that. And Amrik an officer of the court. What officer of the court? Amrik has an agenda, and that agenda is to cheat. And you cannot print your election signs, and he went and did it. So city said, and some close friends said, they believe it's up to 25 or 30,000. In my opinion, Amrik's so desperate, I would believe it probably 100,000 outside he went and got printed. Wow. You know, talk about the cheating and the financial agents. So Kory Neufeid's in a lot of trouble, and rightfully so. And he should be, Caroline Finlay should be asking him to leave, and she should be running against his seat to become the leadership. Caroline Finlay cannot fight the issues for BC outside of the ledge. So she needs somebody strong, and that man who brought that was Bruce Banman. Not that I'm a supporter of Bruce or I fall over heels of Bruce. You saw me attack him, you saw me attack everybody. I'm about my city and fair level playing ground, and no more Henry Browns and Kory Neufeids or nothing. that door gets open, and when your constituents walk in and say, Henry just ran over me in the Abbotsford Police, just threatening me, he's in the ledge doing work for residents and not for Amrik Moran, and that needs to change. So she can't fight the issues front and center, and she selected a very few team that's with her, and that splits the Conservatives. And Eby's looking for this like I'm looking for it, creasing 1BC's thing. So we saw a statement on Facebook with David Eby saying a floor crosser from the Conservatives. And they're marketing it, the Conservatives have problems. They do have problems, major problems. They need guys like Kory Neufeid to be whipped down and be beaten and stop doing his cheering. And you saw that at Canada Day. Amrik Moran wasn't riding in the back of his Jeep. And nobody was hanging with Kory. He was trying to push on Suk Mangel and trying to push it. And you can read it in your eyes going, you're in trouble, boy. You're in more trouble than you know, and you're trying to laugh it off. This thing doesn't get laughed off. It's got voters upset. It's got councils that got to run upset. And so I want an apology. I'll ask him again to apologize to Abbotsford's councillors that got to run, to David Eby, to 1BC and the BC Conservatives. And he needs to make that apology. Till he makes that apologies, he's going to see more against him. Just say you're sorry, I messed up. I unfairly now twice give Amrik Moran, and now the election signs. Instead of him asking Mr. Speaker to have Amrik Moran investigated for printing them election signs, he goes and promotes them. This is Kory, school trustee. I think you would have learned some values as a school trustee. So there was a crossing of the floor by a BC Conservative, former BC Conservative, and she's an independent. And it's got 1BC everywhere upset. The BC Conservatives are full of Liberals. Peter Mellabard, Ian Black, Kory Neufeid, back to Liberal, Armin Bangdu with his stuff, with Caroline Elliott now. The BC Conservatives are heading for shit. That's plain and clear. And even I stopped supporting them and helping them. I'll help the base of the BC Conservatives, but I won't give to the organization, because Caroline Finlay cannot get this out and get it underhand. She needs some heavy hitters in there. So the lady crossed the floor to the NDP, which now there should be a recall on her by her town, and she'll be out because that's a Conservative stronghold. But what should take place is this. She said she did it for her constituents. Her constituents. When you're doing something for your constituents, you should ask them that I'm going to cross over as a Conservative or as an independent to the NDP, and I would like within 30 days an analysis done of how many you think should I cross over. That's what you do to your constituents. She used her constituents and said she's doing good for them. Her constituents will be kind of like this. If it's a Pierre Poilievre supporter, would never cross to the NDP and would never break his values or his traditions with the party or the morals he has to use that excuse, and she did that. So I would ask this, as Abbotsford's mayor against Kory, do you not think that there should be a poll done now by the BC Conservatives that are still good in there, like Rianne and the people that are true Conservatives, and say, I'm asking our residents or our constituents to do a poll before I cross over. You think I should join 1BC, Dallas Brody, and bring it to a good party to take David Eby on and the issues on? Or do you think I should stay with the infighting of the Conservatives and what Kory Neufeid's doing for councils and mayor and all this backward stuff going on? You think I should join 1BC and say I want to do that for my constituents and take the poll and see, and then come back to the public and say, the poll read 65% of the BC Conservative Rianne Gaspard to cross the floor and leave the Conservatives and join 1BC. So right there, that will tell you, when she said she joined the NDP for her constituents, she did it wrong. She did it wrong. If I was a Conservative and I'm going to join another party, I would ask my residents first for a poll. Said I should leave or should I stay an independent to join the NDP. And that's what she should have did, and she didn't do that. It's not that David Eby needed more in the House more seats. It's pretty much she's done, and everybody knows when you did this, they're going to look, and so are her former M.L.As and everybody around her and people running are going to look that there's only one reason she did that. She is looking for a backdoor envelope from the Premier. And that's the only thing, because if it was about your constituents, your values of your constituents, and the morals and the ethics and the principles your constituents fight for, and that, because you should have put on your voting, you want to vote NDP or Conservative, and that's what you should have did. And that's what we needed to do, and she took that away from their constituents. She tried to force her idea down on her constituents, just like this man did. He took it away from fairness of council, and he's trying to force down Amrik Moran needs to be the M.L.A, and Amrik Moran printed his signs, and that's unfair. So to one BC, maybe you should be approaching the BC Conservatives and asking the BC Conservatives, true Conservatives, you want to cross over the party now and ask your constituents. I bet you'd get a yes. I bet you'd get a yes. You wouldn't get a cheating like the NDP did. And you wouldn't get a cross-flooring. And we need to make sure we're doing this before we get up into these elections, and we need to make sure. But to Kory Neufeid, I'm going to ask you again, on behalf of Abbotsford, on behalf of, maybe I could speak on behalf of the NDP too, because you know I know Gurpreet Rai and Suki Gandhi, and one BC and then my BC Conservatives. I demand, I'm not asking, I demand the full apologies to all councils and everybody that's running. And I demand that you start doing the work as an M.L.A. and asking for David Eby to bring the Attorney General in on Amrik Moran's sign printing. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia, Kory Neufeid's office.